Well, on we go in the chronological survey. This is now the 98th day, second video. Let me put this in perspective. In a chronological survey, I'm coming up through time. We're in the Dark Ages, I call it, after the prehistoric period and the classical period, the Dark Ages. And the Vikings that was the first culture. Vikings and Northern Germanic culture was the first one I took up. Truly dark in that we know very little. Arabic culture, by time, could probably be studied there, but it's not so dark because within the world of what's sometimes referred to as Arabia, civilization didn't collapse like it did in Northern Europe. Anyway, I'm going to take up Arabic culture, and Islam is so important to that culture. It's wrong to think Arabs, that's a race. Just like Caucasians is a race. You're born, you might be born of that race. You're not necessarily born of the religion Islam. So not all Arabs are Muslims, as we call people who are Islamic in their faith. And certainly not all followers of Islam are Arabs. But the two are connected in people's minds. The Quran is the holy book of the Muslim, of Islam, the holy book, and it is extremely sacred to Muslims, the Quran. It's spelled other ways. Sometimes it's pronounced Quran. And in it, I'm not even going to begin to explain the teaching of it because I've tried to learn it, and I know maybe slightly more than an average person, but I can't really explain it. But I know that very important to them is this sentence: Allah is the one God, and Muhammad is his prophet. Like Christians and Jews, Muslims believe that there's only one God. Now, this idea that Muhammad is the prophet. Now, I put this somewhere around 650 AD. I am never real precise about, or almost never real precise about years. The point is, it's a more modern religion. It's more recent than Christianity by about 600 years. Part of Christian thinking is that Jesus was the last of the prophets, if you will. There would be no more prophets after Jesus. But the Muslims feel that here is the prophet. And I believe that they respect a lot of what Jesus taught. But they do not regard him as the Savior in the way Christians do. The Quran is a rhymed poem. It is a rhymed poem. And that becomes important because Muslims often do not want the Quran translated into some other language. And it's not only because it's a rhymed poem, it's because they feel that those words are not the words of Muhammad. Those words come straight from Allah. They're sort of dictated in a cave, and I believe by the angel Gabriel, who spoke to Muhammad and said, write this down. And so by dictation, the only place the place that comes to my mind in the Christian Bible is the Ten Commandments, that Christians feel those are not what Moses decided to write down, but God wrote. Those are God's words. Well, I think the whole Quran is like that. And since it's a rhymed poem, it can be memorized. It's easier to memorize something that rhymes, and that's a poem. I understand that there are some Muslims that attempt to memorize the entire Quran within their lifetime. I think it's been done. It's maybe doable. I never heard of anybody who memorized the entire New Testament. It's a different approach. And again, Christians, they want the New Testament translated into every language possible and get it out there in whatever language. There's a different attitude among Muslims toward the Quran. I think I maybe told you, I have tried to read it. I have a copy of it in English, clearly, and I tried to read it. I didn't get that far. Mecca and Medina are two very important cities. Muhammad traveled from one to the other and back, but I'm not going to be complete about this. Shiites and Sunnis are the two, is a breach that occurred after Muhammad's death over his descendants. Again, I'm not going to go into that, but this becomes so important to understand what's going on in the Middle East today. It is very much with us. It's my understanding that a part of the Islam faith, I'm quite sure of this, is that you're not supposed to drink alcohol. No alcohol. It is sinful. Now, there are Christians, modern-day Christians, who feel the same way, but it's hard to actually substantiate that in the New Testament, where Jesus actually made wine out of water. I think why I circled al of alcohol is because that's almost a sure sign that this is an Arabic word, which is kind of curious. But alcohol has many uses besides drinking it. So no alcohol. And I did want to tell you that in the 13th Warrior movie, there's a point where they play with that just a little bit, because the Arab is up there, and all these Vikings before battle are drinking mead. Well, a mead hall was named after mead. It's related to the word meadow. Well, it comes from honey. It's fermented, watered down honey that's been fermented. And the Arab says, no, he can't drink alcohol. And he quotes, I think he quotes the Quran, and nothing from the grape and no drink from grain or something. And the Viking says, well, you can drink this because this comes from honey. I don't know. It's in the movie. I guess the one other thing I would say here, well, no, two, is I associate Islam, and many people do, with extreme feminine modesty, or at least feminine modesty, whether it's extreme or not. It seems extreme to people in Western culture. A woman can show her eyes with a veil. A woman can show her eyes, but that's it. No more of the woman's body. And in some cases, I believe it's called a burqa. A woman actually goes out in public in a sort of a tent. That seems extreme. You contrast that to the Greek culture of the nude sculptures, or go to Brazil and women on beaches in thongs. It is so different. Now, if you would like to know more about this, and I have been very brief, there's a message. There's a movie called The Message, 1977, and if you will go to IMDb, Internet Movie Database, that website, and search for The Message, you will find that it's there. You can watch it thanks to something called Hulu. I have watched it, and I should probably watch it again, because it deals, I think, quite accurately, as far as I know, with the birth of Islam. Well, that's probably not enough, but it's the nature of this course that I'm moving along fast. So I'm not finished with Arabic culture. Tomorrow I'll have more to say about that.